Hi, this is Fred. I just completed the JD Jet Kit mod on a brand new 2018 DRZ 400SM. I'm planning on taking this around the world. I'm going to be going through Mongolia and Siberia. And because of that, I didn't want to do anything when I did this that required real radical, or in my opinion, hard moves that would have to be done by a river or something like that. So there's some videos on YouTube about using a hair dryer as you take this off to loosen to make the rubber soft. There's a bunch of comments, and guys I'm sure have had great success loosening and taking off subframe bolts. And I just don't think if you have a carburetor problem, in the middle of nowhere, that you want to have to. You're not going to have a hair dryer. And I don't think that you want to have. I'd feel uncomfortable taking off subframe bolts in the middle of nowhere unless it was really an emergency. So my goal was to be able to do it with just basic tools, and be able to do it reasonably quickly and not get frustrated. So I took it out last night and I followed the videos. There's a bunch of them out there that basically have you taking off these 3 clamps. A tip there, all 3 clamps are different, and the screw sizes on all 3 clamps are different. So make sure you keep the screws with the clamps. But I took them completely off before I took the carb out. And then basically I did what everybody else did, is I took a blunt screwdriver. You're going to need one of those. And my view was, don't screw up the output side of the carburetor, the rubber here. It's more critical, in my opinion. And I'm not a mechanic, I'm just telling you what I think. Than the input side. So the input side, there's guys that they take the whole air box off, right? And it's just sitting here. So from that I derived that you want to be careful, but you're better off working with rubber on the input side than on the output side. So basically what I did was I just took a little bit, blunt screwdriver and worked this out and scooched this back just a little bit to get it started. And then basically you want to get used to rotating it in this direction. So you're going to be rotating so that this top black cap goes to maybe 45 to 90 degrees to the right side of the bike, back and forth to get it loose, and then start working it out this way. So the back comes off first, and then it'll come off in the back, and then obviously the front will come off. And when the back's completely off, you can get the front off. And you can do that without scratching anything or screwing anything up. Just a little bit of screwdriver work if you're careful. So when that's done, you can do the jet kit thing. Good videos on that. Be careful, there's a lot of tiny parts. I lost a part and found it. There's one guy doing the jet kit on the bike with the carb just rotated out. Kudos, if you're that good of a mechanic and want to put the small parts in around here, I'd be terrified to do that because they drop a small part and never find it. So I took it out, put the jet kit in, came back, and that's when I really hit the problem. So, man, this is a bear. So I stopped for the night and thought about it and went and watched some YouTube videos. And same thing, guys using heaters here, loosening subframe bolts, although you don't see a video on that so much, but there's a whole bunch of blogs on it. And basically, I decided I don't want to do any of that. Same reason, you can't really do that well in Siberia in the middle of nowhere. So what I decided was, you don't want to do that. So what I decided was to go ahead and try and work it in. So here's what I did. I took the blunt screwdriver. This is really my little trick, and I'm sure there's other guys that have done that. And with the carb out, I took the screwdriver and I slid it back behind this member so I'd have leverage. And I just pried back the boot, just pried it back so I could put the screwdriver all the way across, and you could see this compressing, see this flexing a little bit, no problem. It's all, rubber, plastic compound. So I was pretty comfortable with that. Pried it back and then pushed this across, not damaging this at all on the cord, not on the boot, was fine. Pushed this all the way across, and that was just sitting there basically like that, with this thing pulled back on the other side of this frame member right here. So with that done, it's still hard. Even with that, it's still a pain in the butt. So what I did is I took the carb and I had it rotated. You want to bring it in from the bottom, and I had the carb rotated again with the black pointing that way, so it's pointing out towards the right side of the bike. And then basically you can work it into this piece like that because you've got room in the back, and so you can very carefully leave this piece on the bike. This black piece here should be on the bike with the carb off, and then you put the carb rotate it in a little bit lower in, and then bring it up and start rotating it till this starts coming over it. Work it over. Yeah, maybe you can take a little screwdriver. I didn't need to, but if it gets to the very end and you can't quite get it, you can just keep turning it, or maybe put a little screwdriver in. But I did it without a screwdriver on that side. Once that side's in, this is sitting in here wedged in with this push back. Just pop it out, and when you pop it out, you're going to bring that boot forward, and it's going to be riding on the outside of this port. So then what you're going to do is the same thing. You want to rotate in this plane back and forth, but you're also going to be putting some rotational on this direction. So when you do that and you're rotating, this boot will start seating over this, and it's pretty flexible. You want to push it back, push the carb so it swings back that way, and that'll grab the back end of it. And you come back and forth, and you want to end up so you have a little piece here that won't fit over. And then you simply just take your little screwdriver, a smaller screwdriver probably, like this, and just very carefully pull that back over the other side, and that comes out fairly easily. And then rotate it and wiggle it to make sure it seats. Check both sides. The only other thing was, again, these nubs. You want to make sure that there's a nub in here that fits here cleanly into this, and there's one on the bottom here that fits cleanly into the engine. So you should have checked that out if you took it off and had to put it back on. So that's how I did it. It's not too bad, and I was able to do it without heating and without the subframe change here. So that's what you got. Worked great. I'm off to the races.